where battery manufacturing begins is lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide being provided to them. And where lithium mining ends is a lithium chloride, lithium sulfate. It is in between. That is where we exist. So quite critical within the process in terms of being able to achieve the purities that are required by different cathode manufacturers. And that is required for different battery manufacturers as well as EV manufacturers.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by the Clean Power Consulting Group. I'm Tim Montague, your host. Today on the Clean Power Hour, the picks and shovels of lithium mining and refining. My guest today is a company called Mangrove Lithium. I have two of their senior executives, Saad Dara, who's the CEO, and Francisco Velasco, who's the commercial vice president. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
This is such a timely topic. It's kind of weird that one element is so important for the energy transition right now, but that is kind of the way the world is. And of course, we talk all things energy transition here on the Clean Power Hour, wind, solar, and energy storage. And lithium is in the news now. It is becoming a household name, and lithium technology, of course, is being used in electric vehicles, in stationary storage, and storage is so vital for the clean energy transition in so many ways, and it is a limiting factor. We have lots of lithium in the world, but it's not easy to get to necessarily, and we haven't necessarily built out that infrastructure because as these tipping points happen to occur, it's ice, water, or ice, EV. And here in the U.S., we are at 2% electrification of transportation, and we're going to 10% by 2025, something like that. So hold on, it's going to be a rocket ship. Give our listeners a little background on yourselves, why you created Mangrove. We'll start with you, Saad, please.
Thanks for that introduction, Tim. My name is Saad. I'm a chemical engineer by training, an electrochemist as well. The company Mangrove spun out of work that I was doing at the university. We initially focused on a different market, but recently we started focusing on lithium, probably about three and a half years ago. We saw a really good product market fit with our technology within the lithium sector. We saw that with the way lithium is mined and produced traditionally, that our technology really had an opportunity there to make a large impact in reducing costs of lithium production, allowing much higher qualities and purities of lithium to come on the market for batteries. And so we started working there, and Francisco joined us just about a year ago. And so I'll let him introduce himself, but we're very excited to be participating in this energy transition.
Thank you, Seth, and thank you for having us, Tim. My name is Francisco Velasco. I'm the commercial VP for Mangrove. I come from the lithium industry. I worked for SQM for more than 15 years. My training is I have a business. I have a business degree, and I also have an MBA from the University of Birmingham in the UK. And I joined Mangrove last year because coming from the lithium industry, I understand that there's going to be a shortage of lithium, and there's a big gap in the refining portion of the supply chain that needs to be filled, and that's how I saw Mangrove as playing in that area, and I'm very excited to join the team.
And Saad, you're based in Vancouver, I understand. Is that where the company is headquartered?
That's correct. We're based in Vancouver. We're headquartered here in British Columbia. We have a research facility and pilot plant that are located here. We're building our first commercial plant that will most likely not be in Vancouver, but we're identifying locations for it. But the company is headquartered in Vancouver.
Got it. And fundamentally, what is the problem that you are solving?
Lithium production is a complex problem. Lithium comes from different sources. It can come from hard rock, spodumene in Australia, or it can come from lithium brines, predominantly located in South America. And traditionally, lithium production has taken a long time in being able to bring the product to the market. Oftentimes, the quality and purity of lithium that's produced is not good enough for batteries, which require higher and higher qualities of ingredients. And the problem that Mangrove solves with our technology is that we allow for higher quality, higher purity lithium hydroxide and lithium carbonate to come on the market at significantly lower cost. And this allows us to be able to make the technology, bring the technology to asset owners by making the projects more fundable, making the projects more bankable by having lower OPEX, lower CAPEX, while producing a higher quality product. And we feel that this will enable a faster timeline for the projects to come online and reduce the shortage or reduce the gap in demand and supply for lithium products, for the batteries.
Very good. And Francisco, you coming from SQM, which is the largest lithium producer globally, I think, right? A very large lithium producer. Talk a little bit about, how you see the industry, in the last 5 years and then looking forward. Obviously, this inspired you to make a move. So, yeah, give us a little context on what's going on in lithium markets globally.
Well, thank you. If you compare the last 5 years to the current environment, it's completely different. Like lithium has been a cyclical business for many years. You probably remember like EVs were coming from a long time, I think the expansion and the introduction of new vehicles into the market creates this boom and bust situations in the lithium market. If you see the historical prices, in 2016, the prices of lithium were moving from 10,000 to 30,000 a metric ton of lithium. And then in 2018, they kind of like went back to the historical average. And today, the price of lithium is $80,000 a ton on an average. So you can imagine those like contractions and expansions in the market create a lot of anxiety and also create the need for investment. If you try to foresee the future, you need more players in the market. Right now, you have 5 big players, which they are expanding constantly, but there's not enough lithium in their expansion projects to cover the demand. So you need a more robust pool of players, and that's when you have to look into the US, Canada, and Europe, because in those places you have lithium that hasn't been exploited. Today you only have lithium coming from Chile, Argentina, and Australia. So that's how I see the future. I see more players, a more diverse base of raw materials, and also a more diverse supply chain for the EV market.
Indeed. And you guys have some really good news that broke today. You've received an investment from BMW iVentures, who is joined by Breakthrough Energy Ventures. They're a repeat investor. That is one of Bill Gates' funds. So congratulations on that news. Tell us a little bit about that negotiation and why do you think auto manufacturers like BMW are getting into the lithium game?
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is an exciting day for us. So Breakthrough Energy Ventures led our investment round. We closed that in November. After that round closed, shortly after, we had a call and discussion with BMW Ventures, and they said, "Hey, we're interested. Or do you have capacity to take on more investment?" We thought that they were such a great strategic partner in what Mangrove is looking to do that we decided to open the round up again and have them participate in it. With BMWI Ventures coming in, our group of investors became quite rounded, quite well rounded, I'd say. So we have the government of Canada, essentially through BDC Capital, as well as grants that we have received within the Canadian government, plus Breakthrough Energy Ventures, who are a great financial investor, and to be able to add a strategic like BMW just made us have all the different elements that we would want in a fundraise. And so we're very excited to have them on board. I won't get into the negotiations of those, but they were very friendly, and the process working with them was very good.
Very cool. And yeah, it's a real sign of the times that automakers have to be serious about their supply chain of battery materials, right? It's going to make or break their ability to deliver EVs. And Elon Musk is on record saying that, he can't bring the Cybertruck to market just yet because he doesn't have enough batteries. The Model Y and the Model 3 are flying off the shelf like hotcakes, so to speak. They're sold out a year in advance now. And so if you want to be a major EV producer, you also have to figure out how to procure or make your own batteries. And that's completely non-trivial and a completely different supply chain from what they're used to doing with internal combustion engines. So it really is an about face and probably a huge wake-up call for many of these global companies. Some will make it and some will not because they just didn't pivot early enough and invest enough in that supply chain. But let's talk more about your technology and who your customer base is. I've been in the last couple of days trying to learn about the lithium mining and processing industry. And there's lithium hydroxide, there's lithium carbonate. These are materials that are then put into lithium batteries. But why don't you lay out for our audience exactly where your technology comes to play and what is the form factor of the technology?
Sure. So we're an electrochemical technology. We take lithium chloride or lithium sulfate from different operations, whether that comes from battery recycling, whether that comes from upstream mining or other sources. And we convert that into a lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate product. What our technology essentially does is, using this electrochemical technology, we are able to achieve much higher purities, and we're able to simplify the process. At this stage, the technology is being demonstrated at a pilot plant. We're building our first commercial plant, and that plant will be delivered in sometime in the middle of next year. And it will be the first commercial scale system, which becomes the building block for all future deployments. And so that's kind of what we're working towards. And from going from that plant to another plant, we feel very strongly that we'll be in a position where it will be just replication of the technology to meet bigger capacities depending on customer size. And our customers can range in size as well as type, from companies that are in South America doing lithium processing from brines, or companies in the United States that may be looking to recycle lithium or use some other direct lithium extraction technology. So we have a very wide and diverse base of customers, but essentially the core of the technology remains exactly the same.
So you have brine mining, for lack of a better expression, and hard rock or spodumene mining, and then you have DLE or direct lithium extraction. What is DLE?
So traditional lithium brine operations rely on solar evaporation. So they wait 6 to 18 months after they pump out a brine from a reservoir, and they leave it to evaporate so that the lithium can concentrate and become in a form that they can process it. DLE, or direct lithium extraction technologies that are being developed by the likes of Lilac or other companies, essentially what they do is they skip that step of having the solar evaporate for 6 to 18 months. So they're able to extract the lithium from that brine using their technology without having to wait for that evaporation process. So they remove it selectively. After that, the lithium has to be processed. So just like a traditional lithium brine operation, typically a lithium chloride or a lithium sulfate solution might be produced. And that solution needs to be processed to produce a lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate. And that's where we come in. And so what we do is we take the lithium chloride or lithium sulfate and we directly convert that then electrochemically with our technology to lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate. And that then goes to the market. Now, that's a simplification of the overall process. There are lots of process units that are involved within that. But that varies from site to site. And typically, we work with different customers on that, on what that may look like, and look to integrate the solution as one.
And so there's a feedstock, this raw material, either a brine or some derivative of brine or hard rock. And what are the other inputs? Obviously, you need some form of energy, presumably electricity. Is that? Tell us what are the inputs, and then where are you strategically locating your facilities in the value chain?
Absolutely. So electricity is an input. Electrochemical implies that electricity and chemicals have to go in. So the chemical would be lithium chloride or lithium sulfate, and then the other input would be electricity. We also typically use air or oxygen as part of the process, but those are the main inputs. In terms of where we sit in the supply chain, we're in the middle of the process. So where battery manufacturing begins is lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide being provided to them. And where lithium mining ends is a lithium chloride, lithium sulfate. It is in between. That is where we exist. So quite critical within the process in terms of being able to achieve the purities that are required by different cathode manufacturers. And that is required for different battery manufacturers as well as EV manufacturers. And then working with different companies on the upstream side in getting the right feedstock and converting that and putting that into a right composition that can be processed. And that's what we specialize in.
And where is the first commercial scale facility being built?
So currently, we've identified. Sorry, that was one of your questions, so I should answer that too. Currently, we've identified 2 or 3 locations. Our intention is that this plant is going to be focused or be placed in North America. Now, we want to create a footprint here. We want to start with our operations here. We think there's a lot of value in doing that. We've identified kind of 3 hubs, if you may, within North America that we want to target this plant for. And those are Nevada and North Carolina, or rather the Carolinas, and the Ontario and Quebec region. And predominantly, there are strategic reasons for that, predominantly related to lithium reserves, EV manufacturing, or where car manufacturing may come up, or where battery manufacturing may be. And so that's what we take into account. And we also take into account environmental issues. So if you're using electricity, we want to consider and put a lot of emphasis on being able to use renewable power. So that's one of the reasons Quebec and Ontario is so important, is because of the large hydroelectric power capacity.
Yeah, lots of cheap hydropower there. Well, why not Southern California? Why not the Salton Sea? You have lots of good solar energy and certainly a source of brine there. I'm not, I keep hearing about the Salton Sea. I don't know if anyone has propped up a facility yet. Do you know what's going on there in Southern California?
Yeah, we certainly think that the Salton Sea is a high potential operation. There are a lot of advantages of something happening within the Salton Sea, and especially with an electrochemical technology like ours. If you're able to combine that with direct lithium extraction and geothermal energy, then you have lots of cheap electricity. You have direct lithium extraction that's coupled, that makes both the lithium project as well as the geothermal project more economic, reduces the risk on that. The Salton Sea, I think, has a lot of potential. But commercial operations there still need to be proven and have to be executed. So those are so there are companies that are working on that, and we believe strongly that those companies will be successful. Part of the reason for Nevada is that it's not that far from California. It's not that far being relative in scale to North America. But also has a lot of ability or a lot of lithium reasons to be in Nevada, with lithium recycling, Tesla Gigafactory, clay reserves. So I think that's an important consideration. And we took that into account, and it could be, Salton Sea is not. I wouldn't say that we won't consider it.
Sure. Well, and you'll go anywhere someone will buy your equipment and set it up, right? And so let's talk a little more about that, I guess, and how you see your go-to-market strategy. I mean, I still recognize you as a picks and shovels company. You're this key middle technology for mining companies and for battery companies. The mining companies need you in order to get a super refined product that is highly desirable, and the battery companies need you because they need to make batteries with the material that you produce. Are you going to ultimately service both sides of that market?
I will ask Francisco to elaborate a little bit on my answer. But we intend on working with everyone in whatever application fits them. So we think we're valuable, and we think we can make an impact across the supply chain with lithium producers on making assets more economic and providing better returns. But also with cathode manufacturers and controlling the quality and the composition of the lithium hydroxide or carbonate, as well as having a diverse supply of feedstock that can be converted for them. I'll stop there and I'll let Francisco add his comments, because I know that he has some interesting thoughts on this as well. And we can come back to some of our strategy as well.
Thank you. Well,
Right.
the idea we have is to be a service company, and we want to serve the supply chain regardless of where the it's either upstream or downstream. We are our philosophy is to be helpful and to be part of the solution, and that's pretty much what we want to do. The idea is to find different supply chains in which we can integrate. And it depends on the strategy of either the asset manufacturer, the asset owner, or the EV manufacturer, or the cathode material producer. So we have our preferences, but we can adapt and serve in different supply chains.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Clean Power Hour or viewing it on YouTube. We do have a great YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please go to cleanpower.group and hit that YouTube icon and subscribe to our channel. Of course, you can find all of our content on your favorite audio platform as well. So please give us a rating and review. I wanted to let you know that we are partnered with the Midwest Solar Expo this year. Check it out, midwestssolarexpo.com. You can get a 15% discount with our code, which is CPH15, We will also put that in the show notes, CPH numeral 15. The Midwest Solar Expo is the premier B2B solar and clean energy event in the region. It hosts over 450 clean tech executives from around the country, and it's a lovely event in Minneapolis, June 20th to 22nd. So please check it out. Back to the show. And so if I'm Redwood Materials, are you a bolt-on to that operation, or explain a little more about how you see different parts of the market? And it sounds like what you're saying is you're not going to necessarily sell a widget. You're going to be a turnkey solution to these other either upstream or downstream companies.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. And you cannot sell something, a universal solution in lithium. You mentioned Redwood, for example, or any other battery recycler. They will have a very specific stream of lithium that needs to be pre-treated and then converted. The needs of that specific customer are very different to the needs of a junior producer in the US or a major producer in Chile, for example. So you need to look into each situation and solve the problems that they have. That's why we are not into the equipment selling business model. We are in the solution selling. So we don't want to just sell the equipment and then let the customer fail. Our success is basically seeing the customer being successful, and you cannot do that without being involved and do a lot of hard work into bringing that asset or that recycling factory into actual production. Because right now you see a lot of companies claiming that they have lithium battery grade in production, and but still you only have a couple of incumbent players serving the market. So there's a big gap between having lithium and having a lithium that can be used in batteries.
Just to add on to that point, if I may, we have taken a decision, a carefully thought out plan on how we want to be a provider and how we want to provide a solution to companies. So we use a very consultative approach, a problem solving approach. Like Francisco mentioned, what we're interested in is providing solutions. Sometimes that may not make sense to do something with us or with another technology. We're very open about that, but we use a consultative process to come to a solution. Our intention on how we provide that technology as a business model is flexible. There are certainly different models that we can use, whether that's operating the technology for a customer or licensing it, and that depends from customer to customer. But what we look to do is work quite closely with them to tailor the solution for them and provide them the right thing, and with the intent that it would be a bolt-on eventually that would be provided by Mangrove that completes the process.
And let's reflect a little bit on where the industry is today without Mangrove versus where it will be tomorrow. I don't get the sense that there's just one way to skin this cat, but you have developed a good way. But I'll let you guys explain what is the delta before Mangrove and after Mangrove. If I'm a Tesla supply chain executive scouring the globe for lithium hydroxide because I'm now making batteries en masse and I need everything I can get, so to speak, why do I care about Mangrove Lithium?
Francisco, do you want me to go first on this?
Yeah.
So that's a very good question. Where is the industry now, and where is it going to be with Mangrove? So if we're looking at the example that you use, let's use the example of Tesla. They have lithium hydroxide that they need. They have lithium carbonate that they need. Where does Mangrove fit in with that? What we can offer is control. And so what that means is if you're a global supply manager, what you can do is go work with different producers and get whatever lithium that you can get from them, or use another technology that you may have in house to develop an asset and say, okay, this is some sort of lithium that we can produce. And where Mangrove would then come in is say, okay, those are the things that you have. We will provide you our technology that takes those inputs and combines them into a lithium hydroxide that's required for your specification. So specific to you, specific to the purity that's required for the cathode. And this would allow them to have more options on what kind of feedstock that they can get, but always have the back-end product. And this is where Mangrove's technology and Mangrove's approach of being feedstock flexible is incredibly important. We can take different feedstocks, we can process different feedstocks, and then especially if they're coming in the form of a lithium chloride or lithium sulfate concentrate, and provide a customized product specific to the needs each time. And that's what we are focusing on developing this company into. Francisco, if you want to add any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think what Saad mentioned is very important. Control for the procurement team. Right now, most procurement teams in all the cathode manufacturer companies and battery manufacturing companies are struggling today because they are on one end of the supply chain. You have the asset, then you have the refinery, and then you have the cathode maker. So they have no control on what happens on the other side. And for some companies, going all the way down to the asset management, it's going to be difficult. But going one step down and taking control of the refining part of the operation gives them a lot of leverage because they can put different asset owners against each other, and they can balance the offer they have. They don't have to rely on a one carbonate producer or one hydroxide producer. They could go into the market and say, okay, I want to buy some lithium sulfate, for example, and I can process that lithium sulfate directly. The other big win for a company like Tesla is they don't have to share with anyone what their composition, the required composition is. So they can get the raw materials to the refining in-house, and then they don't have to share any information about what kind of chemistry goes into their cathodes. That's very important for them.
Actually, this is also related to an important point you brought up, Tim, earlier in the conversation, which is why do EV manufacturers care? Or why should they care? Well, one of the reasons that they should care, in our opinion, is we think that if EVs are going to meet cost parity with internal combustion engine vehicles, which is what we think is going to be critical to large-scale EV adoption, then costs of EVs need to come down. And one of the ways that we feel that can be done is by vertical integration. Vertical integration of the battery manufacturing process, vertical integration of at least the lithium refining. We think that can have a non-trivial, it can have a significant impact on the cost of an EV. We've already seen with what's happening in the lithium market with shortages that I think for the first time, the improvements in battery cost because of technology improvements have been undone by increasing lithium raw material cost. And so what does the market see when 3 or 4 years from now, when the problem that's already started is even worse, what happens to battery costs at that point? And so being able to vertically integrate and control that supply is, I think, going to be an important factor in how the lithium battery supply chain and EV manufacturing translates this problem into an opportunity. And so that's I think is something very important for us to consider.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
If you also talk about companies like Tesla, one of the main issues that those companies are facing is supply chain disruptions. With the war in Ukraine, with the situation in China, you have more and more problems in your supply chain. So having the refining portion of the supply chain in-house, it's a big thing. Uh, I don't know if you're aware, but at least 80% of the refining that is being done today is being done in Asia. So if you have a mine in Nevada or you have a mine in Canada, there's not really any advantage of having a gigafactory close to an asset if you have to ship your product to be refined in China.
And then bring it.
So one of the yeah, exactly. So one of the things that we are working on is to incorporate our future plans with the different hubs that are being developed in the U.S. and Canada. You have Detroit, you have Georgia, you have Quebec, you have many places in which you have the battery manufacturing, you have some mines nearby, and you're going to need the refining capacity there, and that's the same case in Europe. Europe has a huge gap in refining capacity. So that's kind of the missing link, because refining is not as glamorous as building a gigafactory. Nobody talks about it, but that's where we are trying to help and be useful and be part of the industry.
Makes a lot of sense. I am very concerned, that supply of batteries is a national security phenomenon for the US and Canada and other countries, of course, and us being so dependent on China. If something were to go wrong, so to speak, as we see with Russia and Europe now, and there is, tension around Taiwan, tremendous tension. If you have Taiwanese colleagues, talk to them. Even though that conflict has been going on for a long time, it's heating up. And so it is a precarious situation, and we absolutely need to onshore the entire value stream to the extent possible. And it sounds like you guys are front and center in making that possible. So I'm excited about that. In our last few minutes together, Saad and Francisco, what else should our listeners be thinking about and know about, both relative to Mangrove, but also just the lithium industry?
There's so much to say. We're very excited about the lithium market. We certainly see challenges in it. There are challenges with supply. There are challenges with making EV batteries, bringing the costs down. But I think if we could say one thing to our listeners, it would be, we think that this is actually also a very big opportunity for impact in climate change. We think EVs are a way to go, and whatever we can do to accelerate that is what Mangrove is going to look to work towards. But I think we all have a role to play within that on both personal and professional level. I'll let Francisco add anything else on that.
Thank you. Well, the only message is that our mission and our vision is to help the electrification happen, and we are here to serve the market and to help junior, major, and battery recyclers to become economically viable and actually be part of the big change that is coming. So our philosophy here is not to be important, but to be of service and to be helpful and to make things happen.
One thing to add, I'll add on this is, we're a growing team. If there are people interested in joining us, I'll send out the bat signal here. Get in touch with us. We'd be happy to have a chat. We're always excited to have intelligent, talented people join our company. So anyone that's interested in from listeners, please let us know, and we're happy to have conversation.
Are there particular types of talent you're looking
Across the
for?
board, business development, financial, engineers from lithium sector. We're happy to have a conversation with people and discuss where there may be opportunities. And we're excited to meet with like-minded and often not like-minded people and have a productive discussion and see where we can work together.
Great. And we'll give people a way to reach you in just a second. I want to make a couple of announcements. Check out all of our content at cleanpower.group/podcast. Please give us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify. That's how more people will find this content and become informed about the energy transition and the economic opportunity that it represents. This is a $100 trillion wealth transfer that is going on globally in the next couple of decades, and it is not to be missed. Whether you're young in your career or seasoned in your career, this is a great opportunity. Check out our YouTube channel. When you go to that website, you can just click on the YouTube icon. Please subscribe to the channel and reach out to me. That is how I bring you the best content for the energy transition, whether it's wind, solar, or energy storage. And so I'd love to hear from my listeners. And I'm TG Montague on Twitter. That is also my Gmail handle. So reach out to me. With that, Saad and Francisco, how can our listeners reach you guys?
You can go through to our website. There's a form that can be filled out. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Mangrove Lithium. Or on LinkedIn. We're happy to connect. Info@mangrovelithium.com is also a good way if you'd like to send an email. And as I'm saying this, I'm sure my communications people are going, oh no, we're going to have a flood, hopefully. So we look forward to it.
Very good. Francisco, how can people reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Francisco Velasco, and then you can find me there. There's not a lot of Francisco Velascos on LinkedIn. That's my main point. I am not on Twitter. I'm kind of like thinking about going in or not. So we have a very good marketing manager that manages our Twitter feed. You can follow us on Twitter. It's Mangrove Lithium, and but yeah, mainly LinkedIn. That's where you can find it.
Great. Well, I want to thank Saad Dara and Francisco Velasco for coming on the show from Mangrove Lithium. I'm Tim Montague. Let's grow solar and storage. Have a great day, everyone.